Hello, hello, hello. It always feels weird just diving into these. I feel like I should be doing an icebreaker to start these up. Anyway, today we are talking about open house strategy in 2026, specifically for the Philadelphia suburbs. That is both the PA suburbs, so Chester County, the Main Line, Bucks County, everything in between. Also the New Jersey suburbs, Camden County, Gloucester County, Haddonfield, Medford, Morristown, all of them. There's going to be a lot of carryover in open house strategy between all of these various suburbs, but there are going to be some location specific nuances that you're going to want to consider if you are looking to sell your home in the near future this year, because an open house in, let's say, Haddonfield is going to behave differently than an open house in Downingtown, which is also going to behave differently than something in Conchie. So understanding these differences so that you can maximize your use of time, your use of resources, whatever that might be, money, agents. There's a million things, photographers, videographers, drone operators. There's a million ways to get your open house set up, marketed, and successful. So we're going to talk about the different strategies that work, some that don't necessarily work anymore in 2026, and how you can apply this to any upcoming open houses that you have. And if you, as always, if you have any questions, I have contact information below. Please feel free to reach out. I have a whole open house guide if you check out my website below. And let's dive right in. So open houses, I believe personally, are one of the most misunderstood tools in real estate. I think a lot of people just assume I'm selling my home, it's time to do the open house. And I think generally open houses are a good idea, but the way you set them up, the way you market them, and your availability windows will all change depending on your certain life circumstances, where your home is located, what type of home you have, what price band you're selling in, who your potential buyers are. All of these things are going to come into play when deciding whether to do an open house, when to do an open house, how to do it. Are we fully staging? Are we renovating? What are we doing in anticipation of this open house? I think the best way to think about it is understanding that an open house is another arrow in your quiver that you can shoot to try and maximize the number of buyers that see your home, the number of buyers that make offers on your home, and ultimately the price that your home sells for in 2026. Thinking of it as a must do in a certain way, I think can get people into trouble, because if you rush an open house, if you don't properly market an open house, and you don't have the type of buzz you want, and you don't move the needle in that first week, maybe 2 weeks, now you're, because of a lack of preparation or a lack of consideration of other options, you're already in price reduction territory, you're in stagnation territory. In extreme cases, you're in delisting territory. So avoiding those big three pitfalls is crucial. So this guide, what I'll talk about, and then my guide on my website, if you want to check that out, will explain how open houses work in the Philadelphia suburbs. When they don't work in the Philadelphia suburbs, I'm going to dive into specific towns. Like, for example, in the Main Line, I'll talk a bit about Ardmore, Wayne, Bryn Mawr, Haverford, Devon. In Chester County, we'll talk a little bit about Westchester, Phoenixville, Malvern, talk a little bit about the New Jersey side, so Haddonfield, Medford. We're going to focus specifically on buyer behavior, town dynamics, and the specific execution details that separate productive open houses from essentially weekend theater, for lack of a better way to put it. So I'll go over the table of contents in a second. As always, please like, follow, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, all the social media things. I have a bunch of stuff on open houses on my Instagram as well, if you want to check that out. Like I said before, full guide on my website, so please check that out as well. I feel like I should be giving you guys like some fun things to think about too. My favorite thing to throw at people, I don't think my wife shares my enthusiasm for this topic, but how many owls would you have to see in a day before you start freaking out? I mean, you don't need, it's rare to see owls. I think the most I've seen in a day is one. I think if I saw three, I'd be calling everyone I know. There's a tsunami coming. I can feel it. Anyway, all right. So what we're going to talk about with open houses in the Philly suburbs. One, what is an open house actually designed to do? I think it's important to put it into context before we just dive into the pros and cons and how to do it. So when open houses work best in 2026 will be our second topic. When open houses do not work and how they can backfire will be number 3. Then we'll move on to strategy by town type in the Philadelphia suburbs. I think town type rather than specific location is more useful for this broader audience. And then we have a brief execution checklist that we'll run through. I have buyer and seller checklists for open houses on my website. If you're on the other side of this and you want to know how should I navigate open houses when I'm seeing 4 or 5 a day every weekend for however long you're looking. And number 6, the penultimate, is how to measure success beyond just foot traffic. I think a lot of people just sellers at open houses is a topic that we'll get into, but hopefully you're not at the open house. Hopefully it's your agent at the open house running the show, and all you want to hear afterwards is, oh, we had 150 people in here today. But you could have 150 people in, no one's booking any private tours, no one's submitting any offers. You were just another home that happened to be near other homes. So foot traffic is good, don't get me wrong, but it is not the end all be all goal of open houses. And then, as always, we'll go through the final takeaway stuff that you can apply if you are looking to sell your home, or maybe you're actively selling your home and it's just not moving the way you think, and you're just looking for a little insight on what you can do to maximize open houses moving forward. So, what open houses are actually designed to do? An open house is not a replacement for proper marketing, and proper marketing can involve a lot. This will be a topic for another video, so I won't just ramble forever, but that includes social media, all types. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube. You're here, aren't you? There's also word of mouth marketing, signage, working within brokerage. I happen to be at the largest brokerage in the Philly area, so that can be useful. Working with contacts that your agent has, personal contacts you have, timing, all of these things go into proper marketing. Photos, drone shots, videos, all of these things. Open houses serve as an accelerant, essentially. It's gasoline that you're throwing on your sale fire, not fire sale. It creates concentrated exposure in a very short window that can increase perceived demand. It can really create a psychological drive for buyers. If they see a bunch of other people in there, they like the home, it might increase their rate of offer. It might increase the value of their offer, because it, at worst, an open house should deliver a perception of value in your home. The urgency that open houses ideally create is most valuable in the first week or two when the listing is new, when buyers are actively searching. That's when you should be hitting these open houses. It's better to sit coming soon longer and build a buzz and then hit your open house strong in that first week, rather than, hey, we know we want to sell it, maybe we need to move quick. It's better to have a week not on the market, and then now we have huge open house, tons of offers. You're deciding the whole thing took 2 weeks, rather than you launch an open house fast because you think you need to move fast. You didn't do anything to generate any buzz around it, and now 4 weeks have gone by. You're not able to move, and now we're talking about price reductions to get you out of there faster. That is not an ideal way to go about this. An open house also serves a practical purpose. It reduces friction between your listing and buyers. Some buyers don't want to schedule private showings. Some buyers don't have the time to schedule private showings, especially that first week or two. Private showings are normally like a Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing. Maybe the Monday after an open house. And if you have 2 working adults in a household, a lot of times they're not going to take off work just to see your home. So understanding that it's a way to get people in the door who might not otherwise be able to get in the door without a big commitment from them. This is, in my mind, especially important in the Philadelphia suburbs, where you get a lot of crosstown shopping. So crosstown shopping, essentially, people don't necessarily lock themselves into, I'm 100% moving to Haverford. They want to be on a portion of the main line that has good city access while also having a residential feel with good employment corridors near it. So let's say they're in healthcare, you have Bryn Mawr Hospital right there. You have a few other like executive type buildings with healthcare positions there. So they're not just going to look at Haverford, they're going to look at Ardmore, Haverford, Bryn Mawr. So that's crosstown shopping. Open houses are great for capturing crosstown shoppers who maybe in their mind they've heard of Bryn Mawr, they're moving up from DC or something, but now they look, yours is only 10 minutes away. They're like, why not? We're up here for a weekend. Let's go see everything. So that's a way to grab buyers in through crosstown shopping that open houses are great at. But here's the biggest truth. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. An open house cannot fix bad pricing. If the home is not priced properly, if it doesn't fit in a searchable bracket cleanly, if it doesn't demonstrate value at its price, and I'll get into my pricing strategy really quickly, it is better to price 5% below what you should and let the market take care of bringing you up rather than pricing 5% above what you should, stagnating, and now you're dumping the price, because that's going to create a bad cascade of psychological factors that are going to have you probably selling below your actual ideal price. So open houses can't fix bad pricing. An open house is a tour to get more people viewing your listing, hopefully create a sense of urgency and competition, and you take advantage of that early. But it all starts with a good competitive price that gets the market buzzing about your home. So let's talk about when open houses work best in 2026. Open houses now are certainly different than when my parents bought their first home in '89. It's going to be a very different set of operations. So you need to align with buyer behavior, and buyer behavior in 2026 is shaped by comparison and by convenience. Think about it. If you're looking to buy a home right now and maybe you're just looking to get some insight on how open houses work, how are you probably watching this video? It's on your phone, it's on maybe on your computer. That's how you're doing a lot of your home searching too. You're on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Homes.com. Don't look at any of the suggested prices on those, by the way. I did a whole reel on those. They can be off by as much as 35%, which is insane. The vast majority, I think it's like over 80% of them, aren't within 5% of what the home is actually valued at. So, short PSA. So open houses tend to work best when the home is in high demand, in lifestyle-driven pockets where buyers spend their weekends. So this is where you're going to see maximum open house effectiveness. Think Ardmore right by Suburban Square. You're thinking Wayne if they're along Lancaster Avenue, Westchester near Gay Street, Phoenixville near Bridge Street, Media near State Street. In these areas, buyers are already out and about. You're going to have a bunch of people coming through because they're like, honey, why not just go check it out? It looks beautiful. We're not even looking, but who knows type of thing. So they can add your house to just their weekend routine. Open houses also work well if your home is likely to attract multiple offers. And again, you have control over this. It all starts with price. You can price your home to get multiple offers. You just have to be willing to put your faith in the market that market will get it to the point that it should be at, where overpricing, the market will let you know quickly that your home doesn't have the value that you think it does. So open houses in this scenario, they can increase the number of interested buyers, but really what they do is they pit buyers against each other so that those market dynamics work both faster and more effectively, essentially. Open houses can also be very helpful for homes that need an explanation. So let's say an older mainline home near Bryn Mawr, Haverford, whatever it might be. You have a lot of character, but it doesn't really translate in photos. No matter how good of a photographer or videographer you get, the quality of your home just isn't demonstrated. That's how I like to think about myself on video. I look better in person, but who knows? So getting an open house, you time the light up, you're midday, it's a beautiful day outside, lights pouring in through the windows, you have everything lit up inside, and now buyers can actually see the value in this beautiful property you have rather than It just doesn't look quite right when you're taking photos of it and someone's scrolling on Zillow. Another category that performs well at open houses, and I get into this in my guide, I'll get into it briefly now. Clean, well-maintained homes that are lightly dated but priced honestly. And the clean, well-maintained is super controllable. It is not that hard to throw a quick coat of paint up, get some professional cleaners in there just one time, and make sure that everything is organized in a way that lets buyers access the space. It's depersonalized so that they can envision themselves in the space. It's not cluttered, but it's not empty. Understanding how to set up your home for an open house for private showings can be a 5-figure difference in what your home moves for. So, I mean, you think about it, little elbow grease and a few $100 to make potentially 10,000 more dollars. ROI seems there for that one. All right, I'll do this aside really quickly. Big renovations, if you are in, I'll call it ultra luxury. So like 1.5 million and up in certain pockets of the Philly suburbs. So like an unbelievably nice house in Haddonfield, an unbelievably nice house in, let's say, Berwyn. These locations where you're going to have, I hate saying, not high level, high net worth individuals looking at your home that want a certain type of luxury when they're moving in. They want it to feel turnkey. Maybe your home was built in the 70s. It's a beautiful home, but the kitchen is just outdated. The kitchen isn't competing with what else is on the market. In that specific instance, a full kitchen renovation might get you north of 100% ROI. In general, there are like, I think there are 4 things that actually have consistently positive ROIs. It's front door painting, front door replacement, garage door replacement, landscaping. That might be it. I think I'm forgetting one right now. It'll come to me. But everything else, I mean, you might be in the high 90s, you'll get most of your money back, but doing like a full main suite bath remodel, it's just the ROI is not there unless you're in a very specific location. So that is not what I'm talking about here. It's surface level stuff, it's cosmetic, and it's staging. Though that is where the ROI is in anticipation of open houses. So let's talk briefly about when open houses do not work and when they backfire. These are relatively rare circumstances. Often I do recommend open houses for listers, but there are certain times when I don't. And the first one is very controllable. I will do my best to not put you in this situation, but I do have to listen to people who want to sell their home. And if they want a certain price, they want a certain price, no matter how convincing I may be. So if a home is overpriced, open houses magnify the good and the bad in homes. So if a home is overpriced, if it presents poorly, if it's cluttered, the lighting sucks, it's going to magnify all these things. There's going to be more eyes on a less than ideal value home. So understanding that, and that's all I'll say on that. You can control all that. So further, open houses can be low ROI for homes that are extremely difficult to access or where buyers typically prefer private showings. And this is most often going to be in those uber luxury settings. Think 1.5 million plus, depending on where you are. I mean, it can be a million plus, it can be 500,000 plus, depending on the setting. But in the Philly suburbs, I generally think of them as 1.5 million plus. The homes where you're considering keeping it off market the whole time and trying to sell that way, which I think is a bad move by sellers all the time. You have no idea who might only see your home because it's a public offering. So people from New York coming down, people from DC coming up. So understanding that, I list your home, do it publicly. Open houses are still, I think, generally going to be a good move, but maybe you have privacy concerns, whatever it might be. So they're not always the right move. They typically are, but in these ultra luxury homes, or if it's just going to present really poorly and is priced really poorly, those are generally the 3 scenarios where I would not recommend an open house. And obviously, if you don't prep for the open house, don't do the open house. So open house strategy by town type in the Philly suburbs. In town-centered, walkable markets, open houses tend to perform really well. Where is that in the Philly suburbs? So I think of this as Haddonfield and Morristown, I think, fall into this category. Certainly Ardmore, certainly Wayne, Westchester, Phoenixville, Media, all of these open houses are going to do really well because people make it a day. They're going to go at 10 in the morning, they're going to see 4 homes. They're going to, I mean, let's say you're looking in Phoenixville. They're going to go to Bridge Street. They're going to stop at the Great American Pub, Bluebird, whatever it might be. And then they're going to go get some dinner and it's going to be a full, wonderful day. So their open houses have them. They're going to take less relative prep. You still need to prep for them, but you're just going to get volume in those areas. In more suburban neighborhood markets where buyers drive directly to showings, open houses certainly still work, but now you're competing with more of a private showing crowd. But I still think they're effective because you're going to get people who just pop in, partially because of the crosstown shopping that happens, but also buyers think open houses are where you find homes. So to capture all the buyers you can in more suburban pockets, I still think they're good. I would just expect less foot traffic than if you're 2 blocks off of Lancaster Ave in Wayne, for example. So in more private estate style pockets, open houses certainly can still work, but a little more selectively here. So the goal here is quality. This is where I recommend the most staging, the most cosmetic repairs. If something truly is really dated, or if a major system just really needs a pop, maybe your HVAC's old, your roof's just like it's like 3 years from going. These are the scenarios where I recommend doing those bigger things. Maximize that open house if you're going to do it. Really market it beforehand, like a full week of marketing on every social across whoever your agent's brokerage is, whatever it might be. Do that. But there are going to be some scenarios where it's better to just no open house. It's all private showings. You're getting an elite group of people. I would say you almost have to be north of like 2.5 million to almost guarantee no open house. Other than that, I still think they could be an effective tool depending on your specific situation. All right, so let's talk. This is going to be a high level. Like I said, full guide if you want to check out every little nitty gritty detail I have about hosting open houses. But here's my high level checklist on how to run an open house in 2026. So it all starts with price. Price it right, better to be low than high. That is my biggest theory in real estate for listers. Also understand the price bracket that people are going to be searching when your home pops up. For example, it's better to list at $799 than $805. It's better to list at $999 than $1.02 million because you're going to catch that search, especially when you get higher and higher because they're just going to put their ceiling in, not necessarily a floor, or their floor is going to be pretty big. Like if someone's looking for a $1.5 million home, they'll probably consider $1.2 million homes if they're a big. So understand you need to capture down, if that makes sense. Beyond that, in terms of presentation, present cleanly. That's big. Declutter. You need to make your home feel like the space is maximized. All lights on, windows open, scent neutrality. I love a simmer pot for this. Think like Williams Sonoma. It smells amazing in there. You can do the same thing. Just look it up, boil pot, simmer pot. And a clear space. Signage should be clear. It should be placed strategically on roads that buyers are actually going to use. For example, my neighborhood, there's 5 access points to my neighborhood. People should be putting signs on 4 of them if they really want to maximize homes in this neighborhood. But you don't want to clutter. You don't want to seem, I never know if this is the right use of it, kitschy. I'll ask my wife later. The open house time window should match the market. So the easiest way I describe this to sellers is if you're selling in the fall, 1 p.m. on Sunday is probably not the right time for an open house. Go Birds. Just not the right time. Everyone's on Fox. So Saturday, Sunday, early afternoon is usually the best time, but you have to consider what might be competing with it. In terms of visitor information collection, that needs to be done professionally, but without pressure. So simple sign-in method, follow-up needs to add value, can't be spammy. I'll take care of all of that if we're working together. But if you're working with another agent and you're wondering what they're doing there, you can always check in, make sure they're getting people to sign in to the extent they can. Obviously, there are going to be some people who write John and Jane Doe, whatever, or some worse stuff. But get that. Follow-up should be consistent. A lot of private showings come from open houses, so that's where that follow-up is key. Have printed information that answers buyer questions. So you're going to have property details, upgrades that you've made, the age of systems, tax information. I love key neighborhood notes. I love commute access notes, both train and driving. I love employment notes, especially let's say you're around KOP, a huge employment hub, just noting what's around there. Amenities that are neighborhood specific or location specific. So if let's say you're selling in Wayne, talking about the Radnor Trail's big. And then being prepared to summarize what makes the home valuable in the town. Why is your home special in your town? They know generally what's happening in the town. You'll provide information on that as well. But people want to know why your home specifically. An open house, the takeaway, open house should feel like an organized experience, not a casual hangout. People want it to feel professional, but homey. Fun line to walk. So, penultimate topic here, how to measure success beyond foot traffic. I think it's hard to not get caught up in just how many bodies were in the house, how many eyeballs saw the home. Because while that is an important factor to consider, it is certainly not the end all be all. You need qualified interest in the home. That's what you should be focused on. So a successful open house produces one or more of these outcomes. Second showing scheduled quickly. I think that might be the most important, unless you're just getting offers. Obviously, that's important. But beyond, strong buyer questions about terms and timing, because that demonstrates interest in the home. Request for disclosure and documentation, big, and you'll have that prepared sitting there. So you're making that frictionless for them. They're going to go home, look at it. Their agent's going to look at it and say good, bad, and then they're going to go. An offer of clear intent in writing within 48 hours. That's the dream. That's what you want. And then feedback confirming that your pricing and positioning is correct. And part of that is going to be the bodies through the door. But there'll be verbal feedback. You'll get clear interest feedback through all of what we just went through. So understanding that it's not just about foot traffic. You want offers and you want qualified revisits. Those are the real goals. Better to have 5 people come through with 4 offers than 20 people come through with nothing. So final takeaways. Open houses work in 2026 when they support a strong strategy, when they're supported by a competitive price in the correct bracket, when they have clean presentation, when you understand your market segmentation, when you understand your town, and when you prepare your home for the open house. They fail when they're used as a band-aid for overpricing, when they have poor presentation, or if there's some unresolved location friction that you don't address somehow in that open house. So if you're selling in the Philly suburbs, if you're buying in the Philly suburbs, I would love to walk you through either your open house strategy or the strategy when you're going to 4 or 5 open houses in a day. Because your eyes can glaze over. You just start being like, oh, that's pretty, when you need to be looking at certain things. I mean, let's say you're looking at open houses now. When was the last time you looked at the amperage on the electrical system at the house? It's going to make a big difference whether you're sitting at 180 or 200 at some point in your life. I promise you it will. So these are all things to think about. Like I said, please check out my website. I have a full guide on open houses. If you have any questions on anything I said today, throw a comment down below. Reach out to me directly. I would love to talk about any of this. Till next time, guys. See ya.